evening, everyone. It's 8 o'clock on the nose, and live from Penzance, well, just outside Penzance, it's the 2020 Great Big LitFest quiz. I'm Spencer Smart, your quizmaster for the next hour or so. I've been involved with the LitFest for a number of years, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to tonight's quiz. Before we begin, Patrick Gale, our patron, has recorded an introduction. Let me play it.
Hello and welcome to another Penzance LitFest quiz, with the slight difference that this year it's online, so you can all frantically cheat out of sight of your computer monitors, I expect. It's terribly sad that almost all book festivals in the calendar seem to have been swept aside by the virus and its attendant complications this year. But we can get comfort from the fact that reading continues to thrive, book buying continues to thrive, and I really hope you will all stay on the mailing lists and look out for a real live festival in Penzance next year. Meanwhile, have a wonderful time at the quiz and no cheating.
Thank you, Patrick. No cheating indeed. Normally, we'll be 3/4 of the way through the LitFest by now, and I'll be standing on the Acorn stage, about to start the quiz, and panicking if Steve has got my microphone working. Now I have much bigger worries. Is Facebook working? Is YouTube working? Is there anybody there? Comments are open alongside the video on both platforms, and you're welcome to say hi and chat virtually amongst yourselves. I'll try and say hello to a few people playing along as we go. To play, all you need is a pen and some paper. We will have 8 rounds of 10 questions. There will also be some pictures that I'll show at the end of each round for some extra points. This is just for fun, remember. There are no prizes for the winners, sadly, just the kudos that you or your team or even your bubble are the 2020 LitFest champions. At the end of each round of 10 questions, I'll give you the answers, so do keep a running score of your total. I hope you're all ready. Let's start the quiz with round 1. The first 5 questions are called But the Book Was Better. For the first 5 questions of round 1, I'll give you a film title, and you need to tell me the title of the book on which it was based. Number 1, Blade Runner. Blade Runner. Now, as you can tell, I repeat every question, and then I give you about 6 seconds to get an answer down, but obviously you've got this at the end of the round to discuss it between yourselves, or yourself even, as I would do. Question 2. The film is Babe. Babe. Question 3. Apocalypse Now. Apocalypse Now. And question 4, Jackie Brown. Jackie Brown. Question 5, Clueless. That's Clueless. Now for the next 5 questions in round 1, and name the year. For each question, you are looking for 1 year, and I'll give you a series of clues. The first will be a news event related to books. The second will be 3 books that were first published in that same year, and the third is a general news story, all from the same year. So question 6. Penguin was tried under the Obscene Publications Act over Lady Chatterley's Lover. To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee, The Ballad of Peckham Rye by Muriel Spark, and Trouble with Lichen by John Grisham are published, and Russia shoots down Gary Power's U-2 spy plane. So Penguin was tried over Lady Chatterley's Lover, To Kill a Mockingbird, The Ballad of Peckham Rye, and Trouble with Lichen are published, and also Russia shoots down Gary Power's U-2 spy plane, all from the same year. What was it? Question 7. Book burnings take place in Chile following the overthrow of President Allende. The honorary consul by Graham Greene, The Gulag Archipelago even by Alexander Solzhenitsyn, and the Rachel Papers by Martin Amis are first published, and the Open University awards its first degrees. So book burnings take place in Chile, the Honorary Consul, the Gulag Archipelago, and the Rachel Papers are all published in that year, and the Open University awards its first degrees. All in the same year. What was it? Question 8. Mark Chapman murders John Lennon while carrying a copy of The Catcher in the Rye. Earthly Powers by Anthony Burgess, Smiley's People by John le Carré, and The Bourne Identity by Robert Ludlum are published, and Robin Cousins wins a gold for figure skating at the Winter Olympics. So Mark Chapman murders John Lennon whilst carrying The Catcher in the Rye. Earthly Powers, Smiley's People, and The Bourne Identity are all published, and Robin Cousins wins a gold for Britain for figure skating at the Winter Olympics. What was the year? Question 9. The UK government takes action to prevent the publication of Peter Wright's Spycatcher. Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency by Douglas Adams, Patriot Games by Tom Clancy, and The Commitments by Roddy Doyle are published, and Margaret Thatcher wins her third and final general election. So the UK government takes action to prevent the publication of Peter Wright's Spycatcher. Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency, Patriot Games, and The Commitments are first published, and Margaret Thatcher wins her third and final general election. What was the year? And question 10. Penguin offers Peter James's novel Host on 2 floppy disks as a first ebook. Disclosure by Michael Crichton, The Folding Star by Alan Hollinghurst, and The Hippopotamus by Stephen Fry are published, and Wet 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 spent 15 weeks at number 1 in the pop charts with Love Is All Around. So Penguin offers Peter James's novel as the first ebook. Disclosure, The Folding Star, and The Hippopotamus are first published, and Wet 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 spent 15 weeks at number 1 in the UK pop charts. What was that year? Right, I'm just going to have a slurp of water and then we'll do some answers. Right, okay, question 1, Blade Runner. That was based on Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? Only looking for the title here, but that was by Philip K. Dick. Question 2, sheep again. Babe, that was based on The Sheep Pig by Dick King Smith. Question 3, Apocalypse Now was based on Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad. Question 4, Jackie Brown was based on a book called Rum Punch by Elmore Leonard. And question 5, Clueless was based on Emma by Jane Austen. Name the year. Number 6, Penguin was tried over Lady Chatterley's lover, To Kill a Mockingbird, The Ballad of Peckham Rye, and Trouble with Lichen, as well as Russia shooting down Gary Power's U-2 spy plane. That all took place in 1960. Question 7, book burnings took place in Chile, The Honorary Consul by Graham Greene, The Gulag Archipelago by Solzhenitsyn, and The Rachel Papers by Martin Amis are first published, and the Open University awards their first degrees in 1973. Question 8, Mark Chapman murders John Lennon whilst carrying The Catcher in the Rye. Earthly Powers by Anthony Burgess, Smiley's People by John le Carré, and The Bourne Identity by Robert Ludlum. They're all published, and Robin Cousins wins a gold for figure skating at the Winter Olympics, all in 1980. Question 9. UK government takes action to prevent the publication of Spycatcher. Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency by Douglas Adams, Patriot Games by Tom Clancy, and The Commitments by Roddy Doyle are published, and Margaret Thatcher wins a third and final general election. All take place in 1987. Finally, in round 1, question 10, Peter James's novel Host was issued as first ebook. Disclosure, The Folding Star, and The Hippopotamus are published, and Wet 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 spent 15 weeks at number 1 in the pop charts with Love Is All Around. Those events all took place in 1994. Okay, remember to leave comments in the Facebook messages and perhaps the YouTube ones as well. We're not actually monitoring the YouTube, we're monitoring Facebook. But if you've got anything interesting to add to any mistakes I've made, which is quite possible, then please do. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the first of this evening's pictures, and through the quiz this evening I'm going to show you 8 pictures of authors. What I'd like you to do is name the picture, or name the author even from the picture. What I'll do, I'll bring it up and I'll give you 10 seconds to have a look at it, see if you know who it is, and I'll give you a chance to go through them all again at the end, so bear with me. Here we go for hopefully picture number 1. Who is this author?
Hello and welcome.
Bye bye, Patrick. Sorry, didn't need to bring Patrick back then again. Not sure what happened there. Okay, what would be an interesting comment to throw out to Facebook this evening is, where are you? Who is the furthest person away from Penzance doing the quiz tonight? Hopefully there's some people taking part from outside Cornwall. Who knows? Let's see if we can get that somewhere in the comments. Going to move on to round 2 now. First 5 questions are about LitFest alumni, people who have been part of the LitFest over the past few years. Question 1. Raina Wynne spoke about her journey with her husband along the Southwest Coast Path. What is the name of her book? Raina Wynne spoke about her journey with her husband along the Southwest Coast Path. What is the name of her book? Question 2. In 2016, Colin Taylor gave an entertaining interview at the LitFest about his career. What job did he do? So in 2016, Colin Taylor gave an entertaining interview at the LitFest about his career. What was his job? Question 3. In 2017, we helped celebrate the centenary of the birth of which Cornish poet from Launceston? In 2017, we helped celebrate the centenary of the birth of which Cornish poet from Launceston? And question 4. In 2017, Tim Pears was interviewed about the first book in his West Country trilogy. What was it called? In 2017, Tim Pears was interviewed about the first book in his West Country trilogy. What was it called? Question 5. Last year, Alan Hollinghurst became our first Booker winning guest. For which book did he win the Booker Prize? Last year, Alan Hollinghurst became our first Booker Prize winning guest. For which book did he win the prize? Now the next 5 questions in round 2 are about crime novels, my favourite. Question 6. Who wrote the series of books featuring Inspector Morse? Who wrote the series of books featuring Inspector Morse? Question 7. The Shetland and Vera series of books were written by who? The Shetland and Vera series of books were written by who? Question 8. Peter James, again, writes detective novels that are set in Brighton. What is the name of the main character in his stories? Peter James writes detective novels that are set in Brighton. What is the name of the main character in his stories? And question 9. Published in 1868, what book is considered to be the first full-length detective novel? Published in 1868, what book is considered to be the first full-length detective novel? And number 9. Oh, Poo bags. I've just pressed the wrong button. Bear with me one moment. I'm just going to disappear off screen as I bring my script back to life. Ah, that is very annoying. Sorry about that, everybody. I love it when things go right. Thought it was going too smoothly. Right. Start. Okay. Good evening and welcome to the quiz. Right, okay, how do I move forward on this? This is so embarrassing. Why will it not move me on? Oh, I hate technology tonight. Start. Come on, start. I can't move it on. Okay. I'm going to go for plan B here, which is not what I intended to do, but anyway, I'm going to do that. Sorry about this, everybody. I've done this for the last 13 weeks, generally without any problems, and now tonight it's decided to mess around. Right, so we are at question, we're in round 2. We are on question 8, question 9, question 10. Right, as you were. Magpie Murders, Moonflower Murders and The Word is Murder are crime books by which prolific writer? That's Magpie Murders, Moonflower Murders and The Word is Murder are crime books by which prolific writer? Alright, so now if you're still out there and you're still paying attention and haven't gone off to do something much more interesting or watch something on the telly or read a good book even, I'm going to give you some answers to round 2. Right, question 1. Raina Wynn spoke about her journey with her husband along the Southwest Coast Path. The name of her book is The Salt Path. Question 2. In 2016, Colin Taylor gave an entertaining interview at the LitFest. He is a policeman. He was famous as the Silly Sergeant. Question 3. Charles Causley was a Launceston poet who we helped celebrate the centenary of in 2017. Question 4. Also in 2017, Tim Pears was interviewed about The Horseman. Question 5. Alan Hollinghurst won the Booker Prize for The Line of Beauty. Question 6. Inspector Morse. Books were written by Colin Dexter. Question 7. Shetland and Vera series were written by Anne Cleves. Question 8. Peter James detective novels that are set in Brighton. His main character is called Roy Grace. It's going to be played by John Sim on the telly. Question 9. The Moonstone by Wilkie Collins is considered to be the first full-length detective novel. And question 10. Magpie Murders, Moonflower Murders and The Word is Murder are all crime books by Anthony Horowitz. Right, I'm going to bring up picture number 2 now. Hopefully that will work. Question number 2. There we go. Name the author.
We have someone from Spain on.
Right, back to here. I've just heard we actually have somebody watching us from Spain tonight, which is fantastic. Okay, Penzance is making its name around the world. There we go. Moving on to round 3. First 5 questions in round 3 are about publishers. Question 1. Which famous British rapper is behind the hashtag Merky, that's M-E-R-K-Y publishing label, which only yesterday, its first novel scooped the Desmond Elliott Prize for Best First Novel. So which famous British rapper is behind the hashtag Merky publishing label, which scooped the Desmond Elliott Prize for its Best First Novel for its first novel? What's his name? Oops. That narrows it down to half the population. Question 2. A&C Black is famous for publishing small yellow covered books about cricket. Under what name? So A&C Black is famous for publishing small yellow covered books about cricket. Under what name? Question 3. Alan Lane was on his way back from visiting Agatha Christie when he had an inspired idea on Exeter railway station platform for dispensing books from vending machines. What is the name of the famous publisher that he went on to create? So Alan Lane was on his way back from visiting Agatha Christie when he had an inspired idea on the platform of Exeter railway station for dispensing books from vending machines. What is the name of the famous publisher that he went on to create? Question 4. What was the name of the series of small fact-filled books published by Frederick Warne? What was the name of the series of small fact-filled books published by Frederick Warne? I've obviously created a few tongue twisters for myself this evening. Question 5. The publisher Wills and Hepworth first published children's books under which famous imprint? So the publisher Wills and Hepworth first published children's books under which famous imprint? Now the next 5 questions are quotations from Amazon 1-star reviews about books. What I'd like you to do is name the book. Question 6. As for Ahab's lunacy, I didn't really care about it. The guy is bitter because he got his leg bitten off. I'll say that again. As for Ahab's lunacy, I didn't really care about it. The guy is bitter because he got his leg bitten off. Question 7. I don't see how Gatesby was great. I don't understand why we didn't find out the truth about him. Strange book. I don't see how Gatesby was great. I don't understand why we didn't find out the truth about him. Strange book. What was it? Question 8. How this is rated as a classic bemuses me. For the average reader it is almost impossible to follow. The Dubliners is by far a better read. How this is rated as a classic bemuses me. For the average reader it is almost impossible to follow. The Dubliners is by far a better read. Question 9. What a load of bunk. If Mr. Mellor was in real life, he wouldn't last 5 minutes with a woman. He hasn't a clue of how to make love to one. What a load of bunk. If Mr. Mellor was in real life, he wouldn't last 5 minutes with a woman. He hasn't a clue of how to make love to one. And finally, question 10. This is a dumbed down version. Whoever heard of poo poo instead of bar humbug? I hated it. This is a dumbed down version. Whoever heard of poo poo instead of bar humbug? I hated it. Okay, and give some answers now for round 3. Question 1. The famous British rapper behind the hashtag murky publishing label is actually Stormzy, and it won its first prize yesterday, so good on Stormzy. Question 2. A&C Black are famous for publishing the Wisden books about cricket. Question 3. Alan Lane had inspiration to create Penguin. I wonder if he was getting penguin bars out of a vending machine. Maybe that was what it was. Just came to my mind. Anyway, question 4. The small fact-filled books published by Frederick Warne are Observer's books. Question 5. Ladybird is the name of the imprint under which Wills and Hepworth first published their children's books. The Amazon quotations. Question 6. As for Ahab's lunacy, I didn't really care about it. The guy is bitter because he got his leg bitten off. That's Moby Dick by Herman Melville. Question 7. I don't see how Gatesby was great. I don't understand why we didn't find out the truth about him. Strange book, The Great Gatsby, not Gatesby, F. Scott Fitzgerald. Question 8. Perhaps he was reading the wrong book. Question 8. How this is rated as a classic bemuses me. For the average reader, it is almost impossible to follow. The Dubliners is by far a better read. That's Ulysses, James Joyce. Question 9. What a load of bunk. If Mr. Mellor was in real life, he wouldn't last 5 minutes with a woman. He hasn't a clue of how to make love to one. That was Lady Chatterley's lover, D.H. Lawrence again. Question 10. This is a dumbed-down version. Whoever heard of poo-poo instead of bar humbug? I hated it. That is, of course, A Christmas Carol and obviously a dodgy version of the same. Now I'm going to bring up picture number 3. There we go. I'm going to give you 10 seconds to name the author. Right, let's go on to round 4 then. First 5 questions are about Cornish writers. Number 1. Name the Cornish writer who wrote The Lord of the Flies and The Spire. Name the Cornish writer who wrote The Lord of the Flies and The Spire. Question 2. In which country are Rosamund Pilcher's books particularly popular? In which country are Rosamund Pilcher's books particularly popular? Question 3. Call for the Dead and The Murder of Quality are the first 2 novels by which prolific Cornish-based writer? Call for the Dead and The Murder of Quality are the first 2 novels from which prolific Cornish-based writer? Question 4. What was the most famous creation of Cornish writer W.J. Burley? What was the most famous creation of Cornish writer W.J. Burley? And question 5. Under which pseudonym, was Sir Arthur Quiller Couch published? Under what pseudonym was Sir Arthur Quiller Couch published? Right, location for the next 5 questions. Question 6, very difficult one this. Where in the UK are the Poldark books mostly set? Where in the UK are the Poldark books mostly set? Another tricky one, question 7. Paddington Bear was originally from which country? Paddington Bear was originally from which country? Question 8. Who wrote about books that were set in the Discworld? Who wrote about books that were set in the Discworld? Question 9. Aikenfield by Ronald Blythe is the oral history of a village in which county? Aikenfield by Ronald Blythe is the oral history of a village in which county? And finally, question 10. What is the name of the town where James Herriot practised as a vet? What is the name of the town where James Herriot practised as a vet? Right, now some answers for round 4. Question 1. Name the Cornish writer who wrote Lord of the Flies and the Spire. That was William Golding. Question 2. Rosamund Pilcher's books are particularly popular in Germany. Question 3. Call for the Dead and The Murder of Quality are the first 2 novels by John le Carré. Question 4. Wycliffe was the most famous creation of W.J. Burley. Question 5. Sir Arthur Quiller Couch published under the pseudonym of Q. Question 6. Poldark books are obviously mainly set in Cornwall. Question 7. Paddington was from Peru. Question 8. Terry Pratchett wrote about the Discworld. Question 9. Aikenfield is an oral history of a village in Suffolk. And question 10. The town where James Herriot practiced as a vet is in the books. It's called Darrowby. In reality, it's called Thirsk. So let me just put on some pictures now. We'll go to picture number 4. Bear with me. There he is. Name the author. Okay, I hope you're doing well. We're halfway through the quiz. We've done 4 rounds. Hopefully keeping a running score. I'm not seeing any comments. I have my faithful assistant over the other side of the room who's going to bat me any comments, but fortunately there are none coming in. That's probably everybody gave up when round 2 failed. Well, normally at this point, halfway point in the quiz, I'd like to say a few words in support of the Acorn in Penzance that becomes LitFest HQ for 4 days every July. Like all live entertainment venues, it's in limbo at the moment and needs help and support to ensure its survival. They've launched a crowdfunder appeal which has already raised just over £4,000. The Acorn is an important part of Penzance's life, not just for LitFests, but for plays, live music, school productions, classes and much more. Normally, at this halfway point, I'd say please go down to the bar and get Richie to refill your glasses. As I can't do that, and if you haven't already done so, please visit theacornpenzance.com after the quiz to find out more about the fundraiser. Thank you. Right, now back to the quiz. We're into the second half now. Please bear with me, we're running perfectly on time at this moment. Round 5. First 5 questions in this part of the round, it's called Play Your Bards Right. It's questions about Shakespeare. Question 1. How many plays did Shakespeare write? Now you don't have to tell me, I'll give you 3 answers, you just have to say which one is correct. Was it A, 27, B, 38, or C, 49? So how many plays did Shakespeare write? Was it 27, B, 38, or C, 49? Question 2. How old was Shakespeare when he married Anne Hathaway? Was he A, 16, B, 18, or C, 19? So how old was Shakespeare when he married Anne Hathaway? Was he A, 16, B, 18, or C, 19? Question 3. William Shakespeare was part of a theatre company, but what was it called? Was it A, the Lord's Taverners? Was it B, the Lord's Minstrels? Or C, the Lord Chamberlain's Men? So, William Shakespeare was part of a theatre company, but what was it called? Was it A, the Lord's Taverners? B, the Lord's Minstrels? Or C, the Lord Chamberlain's Men? Question 4. What was the name of the theatre in London where many of his plays were performed? Was it A, the World? Was it B, the Orb? Or was it C, the Globe? So what was the name of the theatre in London where many of his plays were performed? Was it A, the World, B, the Orb, or C, the Globe? Question 5. On what day of which month was Shakespeare born and died? It was the same day. Was it A, the 1st of March, B, the 23rd of April, or C, the 30th of November? So on what day of what month was Shakespeare born and what day that he died? Same day. Was it A, the 1st of March, B, the 23rd of April, or C, the 30th of November? Now, ghosts and horror stories form the next 5 questions. Something for everybody. Question 6. Who was the writer of the classic ghost story, The Turn of the Screw? Who was the writer of the classic ghost story, The Turn of the Screw? Question 7. Turned into a play and a film, what is the title of Susan Hill's most famous ghost story? Turned into a play and a film, what is the title of Susan Hill's most famous ghost story? Question 8. Who wrote The Shining and It? Who wrote The Shining and It? 2 books, obviously, not The Shining and It. That would be too much. In question 9, at which seaside town in Yorkshire did Dracula land? At which seaside town in Yorkshire did Dracula land? In question 10, name the writer whose ghost stories were originally written as Christmas Eve entertainments. Name the writer whose ghost stories were originally written as Christmas Eve entertainments. Right, let's quick slurp and then some answers for round 5. Right, the answers to round 5. Question 1. Number of plays that Shakespeare wrote. The answer was B, it was 38. Question 2. Shakespeare was 16 when he married Anne Hathaway. Question 3. Shakespeare was part of a theatre company called the Lord Chamberlain's Men. Question 4. The theatre in London was of course the Globe. And question 5. Shakespeare was born and died apparently both on the 23rd of April. Question 6. Henry James was the writer of The Turn of the Screw. Question 7. The Woman in Black turned into a play and a film, book by Susan Hill. Question 8. The Shining and It, Stephen King. Question 9. Dracula landed at Whitby. And question 10. M.R. James was the writer whose ghost stories were written as Christmas Eve entertainments. Okay, add your scores up. Hope you're getting a good running total. It doesn't matter. This is all for a bit of fun, just to make up for a lack of LitFest, but I don't think I can even consider to make up for a lack of LitFest. It will be back. Anyway, moving to the pictures. Moving on to picture number 5. Name the author. As I said, I'll recap those at the end. Hope you're having some nice chats on Facebook in the meantime. And I'm going to switch back to me. Okay, round 6. First 5 questions. Can I have a P, please, Bob? Remember Blockbusters on the TV? Just like Bob Holness, who was the first person to play James Bond, by the way, I'll give you a series of letters that represent the first letter of each word in a book title. For example, TDOTT would be The Day of the Triffids. I'll give you the author to make it a little bit easier. So question 1, A-T-O-T-C, and that's Charles Dickens. The letters are A-T-O-T-C. Question 2. The letters are T, C, I, O, T, D, I, T, N. What a lot of letters. And that was Mark Haddon. So the letters once again are T, C, I, O, T, D, I, T, N. And the author is Mark Haddon. Question 3. The letters are T, S, A, O, N, G, A, F. That's T, S, A, O, N, G, A, F. And the writer is Mark Manson. It's a self-help book. Question 4. The letters are T, G, O, S. That's T, G, O, S. And the writer is Jojo Moyes. Question 5. The letters are T, W, O, T, W. That's T, W, O, T, W. And the writer is H.G. Wells. Now we're going to move on to 5 questions about animals in books. Question 6. Who wrote about 101 Dalmatians? Who wrote about 101 Dalmatians? Question 7. In E.B. White's children's book, what type of animal was Charlotte? In E.B. White's children's book, what type of animal was Charlotte? Question 8. What was the name of the war horse in Michael Morpurgo's book? What was the name of the war horse in Michael Morpurgo's book? Question 9. In P.G. Woodhouse's Blandings Castle series, what type of animal was the Empress of Blandings? In P.G. Woodhouse's Blandings Castle series, what type of animal was the Empress of Blandings? And finally, question 10. In which book would you find Old Deuteronomy? In which book would you find Old Deuteronomy? I just need the title of the book. Okay, that's round 6. I'll give you some answers now. Question 1, the letters, the blockbusters. ATOTC, A Tale of Two Cities. Question 2, TCI, OTD, ITN by Mark Haddon, The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime. Question 3, TSAONGAF by Mark Manson, That's the Subtle Art of Not Giving an F***CK, whatever that might be. Question 4, TGOS, The Giver of Stars, that's Jojo Moyes. Question 5, TWOTW, The War of the Worlds. Question 6, Dodie Smith wrote about 101 Dalmatians. Question 7, in E.B. White's book, Charlotte was a spider, Charlotte's Web. Question 8, Joey was the name of the war horse in Michael Morpurgo's book. And question 9, the Empress of Blandings was a pig. Question 10, you would find Old Deuteronomy in T.S. Eliot's Old Possum's Book of Practical Cats. Just need the title for that one. Right, that's round 6. Let's go back to some pictures now. Going to go to picture number 6. Name the author. Right, let's move on. Moving on to round 7 now, aka round 7. For the first 5 questions, I'll give you the published name of an author. You just need to write down their real name. So question 1, George Orwell. George Orwell. Question 2, Robert Galbraith. That's Robert Galbraith. Question 3, Mary Westmacott. Mary Westmacott. And question 4, Barbara Vine. Barbara Vine. And question 5, Robert Markham. Robert Markham. Now we're going to move to the bottom of the garden. Who'd have thought that you could have a round of questions in a book quiz about sheds? Well, we've managed it. Question 6. What is the name of the local author whose book about living in a shed came out last year? Is it Sophie Evans, B. Davina Jones, or C. Katrina Davies? So, what is the name of the local author whose book about living in a shed came out last year? Is it A. Sophie Evans, B. Davina Jones, or C. Katrina Davies? Question 7. Who wrote In a Shed Above a Boathouse in Laugharne, Laugharne, Carmarthenshire? Apologies to any Welsh speakers out there, I'm not very good at that. The answers are possibly A. Dylan Thomas, B. Ken Follett, or C. Philip Pullman. So who wrote In a Shed Above a Boathouse in Laugharne, Carmarthenshire? Was it A. Dylan Thomas, B. Ken Follett, or C. Philip Pullman? And question 8. Which well-known literary figure can currently be heard on BBC Radio broadcasting from his shed? Is it A. Simon Armitage, B. Neil Gaiman, or C. Philip Pullman? So which well-known literary figure can currently be heard on BBC Radio broadcasting from his shed? Is it A. Simon Armitage, B. Neil Gaiman, or C. Philip Pullman? And question 9. LitFest patron Patrick Gale introduced this quiz with a video made in his writing shed. Which TV duo is the shed dedicated to? Is it A. Ant and Dec, B. Mel and Sue, or C. Richard and Judy? So our LitFest patron Patrick Gale, he introduced the quiz tonight with a video made in his writing shed. Which TV duo is it dedicated to? Ant and Dec, Mel and Sue, or Richard and Judy? And question 10. The Gypsy House was a writing shed in the garden of which famous children's author? Was it A. J.K. Rowling, B. David Walliams, or C. Roald Dahl? The Gypsy House was a writing shed in the garden of which famous children's author? Was it A. J.K. Rowling, B. David Walliams, or C. Roald Dahl? Right, do some answers now for round 7. Number 1. George Orwell was the pen name of Eric Blair. Question 2. Robert Galbraith is a pen name of J.K. or Joanne Rowling. Question 3. Mary Westmacott was a pen name of Agatha Christie. Question 4. Ruth Rendell wrote as Barbara Vine. And question 5. Kingsley Amis became Robert Markham for some James Bond books. Question 6. A local author whose book about living in a shed came out last year, called Homesick. That was C. Katrina Davies. Question 7. Dylan Thomas wrote In a Shed Above a Boathouse. Question 8. The literary figure heard on BBC Radio is Simon Armitage. That's A. Simon Armitage in Radio 4's The Poet Laureate Has Gone to His Shed. Question 9. Patrick Gale introduced this video. His writing shed is dedicated to Richard and Judy. I believe it's after notes for an exhibition was selected for their book club. And question 10. The Gypsy House was a writing shed in the garden of Roald Dahl. Okay, add up your scores. Hope you're keeping a tally of everything. We're going to move on to picture 7 now. There we go. Please name the writer. Okie dokie. Moving on to our final round, round 8. For the first 5 questions, I've blatantly copied Have I Got News for You with a missing words round. I'll read you 5 headlines from the bookseller. You just need to replace the blank with the missing word. So question 1. Sarah Perry returns to blank with first non-fiction title. Sarah Perry returns to blank with first non-fiction title. Number 2. Trade challenged to reach out beyond white middle class blank. Trade challenged to reach out beyond white middle class blank. And question 3. Trump family's action to block publication of blank memoir dismissed. Trump family's action to block publication of blank memoir dismissed. Fill in the blank. Question 4. Bloomsbury blank up 2-book deal with Angela Hartnett. Bloomsbury blank up 2-book deal with Angela Hartnett. And question 5. Blank Covent Garden and Leadenhall temporarily closed. Blank Covent Garden and Leadenhall temporarily closed. And for the last 5 questions in tonight's LitFest quiz, I'd like you to name the book from the character names that I'm going to give you. Question 6. Name the book from the characters Boo Radley and Atticus Finch. So name the book from the characters Boo Radley and Atticus Finch. Question 7. Name the book series from Julian, Dick, Anne, George and Timmy. Name the book series from Julian, Dick, Anne, George and Timmy. Question 8. Which book featured Holden Caulfield? Which book featured Holden Caulfield? And question 9. Who created the characters Elizabeth Salander and Michael Blomkvist? Who created the characters Elizabeth Salander and Michael Blomkvist? They appear in more than one book, which is why I asked the author at the time. Question 10. Fitzwilliam Darcy and Elizabeth Bennet are characters in which book? Fitzwilliam Darcy and Elizabeth Bennet are characters in which book? Okay, and the answers now. The answers. The answers to round 8. Number 1. Sarah Perry returns to blank with first non-fiction title. That was Essex. She was the writer of The Essex Serpent. That was quite a good mystery book. I enjoyed that one. Question 2. Trade challenged to reach out beyond white middle class blank. The blank is Susan's. Reading should be accessible for all. Question 3. Trump family's action to block publication of blank memoir That's his nieces. So the blank is his nieces. Question 4. Bloomsbury blank up 2-book deal with Angela Hartnett. Cooks was the word I'm looking for. And question 5. Blank, Covent Garden and Leadenhall temporarily closed. That's Waterstones. They're closed due to reduced footfall in the areas. Question 6. Boo Radley and Atticus Finch both appear in To Kill a Mockingbird. Question 7. Julian, Dick, Anne, George and Timmy are characters from the Famous Five series. Question 8. The Catcher in the Rye features Holden Caulfield. And question 9. Stig Larsson created Lisbeth Salander and Michael Blomkvist, if I could say it. Question 10. Fitzwilliam Darcy and Elizabeth Bennet appear in Pride and Prejudice. Okie dokie, right, I'm now going to go back to picture 8, or I'll even show you picture 8. There he is. Once again, let's name the author. Okay, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go back to picture number 1. I'm going to give you 5 seconds for each of the pictures for a final look, and I'll give you the answers. So here we go. I'm going to go to my pictures. I'm going to hide them all. We go for question number 1. Who is it? Number 2. Picture number 3. Writer number 4. Number 5. Number 6. Number 7. And number 8. Well, I'll give you some answers now to the pictures. The authors are as follows. Number 1, George Bernard Shaw. Number 2, Lewis Carroll. Number 3, John Steinbeck. Number 4, Ernest Hemingway. 5 was H.G. Wells. 6, Salman Rushdie. 7 is Agatha Christie. And number 8, D.H. Lawrence. And that's your lot for the Great Big LitFest quiz. If you wish, you can put your final scores in the comments alongside the video, and we'll try and find a higher score just before I wrap up. I hope you've enjoyed tonight's quiz. I would obviously much rather have been able to talk to you in person at the Acorn, but it wasn't meant to be in 2020. We hope to be back in full strength next summer from July the 7th to the 10th. If you would like to get involved with the LitFest itself as a steward, or even to help out on the organising team, then please get in touch with us through Facebook or by emailing info@pzlitfest.co.uk. Our patron Patrick, he's also one of the organisers of the North Cornwall Book Festival, and they're shooting a series of author interviews and readings that they'll be releasing through their social media over the next month or so. Please go along and check that out via their website, which is ncornbookfest.org, for more details of their happenings. It's well worth a look. Finally, if you're not on our mailing list, please sign up for updates on our events and happenings. Visit pzlitfest.co.uk and fill in your details. We won't bombard you with spam. You'll get an occasional newsletter with bookish updates in the area. Thank you again for joining in with the quiz tonight. And on behalf of the LitFest team and trustees, we look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you and good night.